tried to destroy our franchise. He ruined relationships with everybody on his team, and he alienated a bunch of fans. Where when he came to Raider Nation was very excited to have him. We embraced him with open arms.
Derek Carr went to
We
his
were ready to
house
see him
and
start.
literally went to try to embrace him. I remember that.
He went. Derek Carr had him go to Bakersfield for like the weekend and spent the weekend with Derek Carr's family. They were training every day together, and then all of a sudden he pulls this. And so, I like I said, I don't feel an ounce of sorrow for him. He's getting everything that he deserves, and I truly hope that he doesn't play another down in football.
I fully agree with you. I not even allegations. I feel like something has been knocked loose in his head where with the hits that Vontez Burfict had on him and a couple other concussions he had, I feel like something has been knocked loose.
Yeah, I think Vontez definitely knocked something loose.
I mean, because that's the thing. He hasn't been the same mental AB that we've seen where like he was the fun, outgoing. It's always been this like he takes it to the next level where it doesn't need to be.
It's malicious.
Well,
It's not fun. It's malicious.
I still got Packers fans on Twitter trying to say, "Oh, maybe we should think about bringing in AB." I'm like, he just destroyed 3 locker rooms in 2 years. Why would you want to bring him in? Why would you even
Aaron
think
Rodgers wouldn't want to deal with that.
it? And that's the thing. Lafleur is, as a rookie head coach, he came in with this supposed diva QB that everyone thinks he is, and he's brought the locker room together. And they bought into his mentality. And bringing a guy like AB in or Des Bryant would just destroy that whole moral build that he's put in. So yeah,
Absolutely.
that's why I think that Antonio Brown. I agree. He shouldn't play another down in the NFL. But you know what? There's a couple of the guys I've been watching, like a name I mentioned earlier, Kalen Doss. Do you think he's going to get a lot of snaps?
I think he's still trying to find his way. I think that he is a player. He's still raw. He was an undrafted free agent out of UC Davis, a small school. So he's still raw and he's still learning the game. He's still learning the system. But obviously, the Raiders liked him enough to bring him back and to pay him guaranteed money
Yeah,
after he
that's big for an undrafted.
declined the
Yeah.
practice squad. And yeah, so I think he's going to be a good receiver in this league. I think at the same time he needs to get separation and needs to work on his the ball control. But I would love to see him get more snaps. I think that he has potential.
Well, okay. On the other side of the ball, I'm going to go ahead and ask, who do you think? Not, and I'm not going to say not Aaron Rodgers because that's a gimme. Who would you consider besides Aaron Rodgers is the biggest threat to Oakland this Sunday?
Jimmy Graham.
Really?
The Raiders have, yeah, well, and this is why. Hear me out. The Raiders historically have been horrible at covering the tight end, and we get burnt year in year out against Travis Kelsey, against the top tight ends in the league, and I think that Jimmy Graham is the biggest threat.
You're in
You think
luck.
Mercedes Lewis might have anything to say too?
Jimmy Graham is not a
He
top tight
might.
end in the
I
league
mean,
anymore.
he's not. He's not. But you got to remember,
He's got
Raiders
stone
have a hard time
hands.
with tight ends. I mean, hey, if hopefully he doesn't give us a threat. Hopefully Mercedes Lewis doesn't give us a threat. But I'm just I'm wary. I'm weary of the tight end coverage.
Now, how do you guys feel about your run defense? Because I know Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams have had back-to-back games, and one of them each have had big games, and one in Dallas with Jones and one in Williams. Do you think that they play a factor at all, or do you think that the Oakland front can hold them?
If they play like they did against the Colts and the Bears, absolutely they can stop them. If they play like they did against the Vikings, we're going to get ran all over.
So it kind of, do you think it's an away? So do you think within it being an away game in the States? Because I can't say an away game because you guys just went to London and it was kind of a neutral field for both
Yeah.
teams. And ironically, I saw a ton of Raider Nation in the UK stadium too. So, I mean, being an away game now, I can't judge it because I just watched Cohen and Montgomery get stuffed by Oakland, like you just said, and
Yeah.
Indy has a really good rushing attack, but then Dalvin Cook is also a really good running back, and he had it's very night and day in different games. So I guess
Can I
it's
make
kind of
Right.
every other
can I
since you just
make
had a
this enlightenment for the two of you of why it feels like night and day between those different teams?
well. I got one more thing, and then I'll let you. Hold on one second.
Well, of course.
I was gonna say it's since y'all just had a really good game against defending the run. That means you guys might have a bad game since it's kind of going every other now.
I don't know. We had back to back defending the run against the Colts and then the Bears. So
Oh, I thought
you
Minnesota was between Indy and Chicago. That's my bad.
no, we went KC, which we did really good against stopping the run. We just couldn't stop the pass. And then Minnesota, where we couldn't stop the run, and then Indy, we stopped the run, and in Chicago, we stopped the run.
Okay. So here we go. Here we go, Kenny. I've been quiet. I've been listening.
Surprisingly,
I've been listening. All right. So here it is. KC, you stop the run
Okay.
because they don't run. It's Andy Reid, and they suck at running. That's why he never could finish games in Philly. Why he never finishes games in Kansas City. He never establishes a good running game. Got to throw that game out. Now, why you're having better game back-to-back games than you did against the Vikings? Philly, or let's see, you run two different schemes, even though they're West Coast, right? One runs a power scheme in Chicago and in Indy, because Indy has that same offense coming from the same tree, right? The Andy Reid tree, which is a
Right.
power scheme. Now, Green Bay runs an inside zone scheme. It used to be an outside stretch scheme, which is what you had trouble with the Vikings. But they said week 5 in Dallas, they saw that the outside zone stretch scheme didn't work well with Aaron Jones and their line, so they run inside zone. So I would expect, Kenny, just in the differences of the style of run games in which you have trouble with, you have trouble with the zone scheme, not the power scheme. The power scheme you do much better with. So I would say in this game, looking at that, I think the biggest threat is definitely Aaron Jones. Not so much Jamal Williams, because I've made this point before. The game plan is always about Aaron Jones. Whether or not Williams gets in the game does how much does Aaron Jones either screw up or does he need a rest? And then that's about it. But if Aaron Jones is dominating, the game plan is always for him to get the lion's share and be the featured back. So I would say in this game, Aaron Jones is the biggest threat, just based on what I've listened to you say yourself about your defensive, where your strength is against the run.
That's a fair assessment. But you also got to remember we practice the zone every day in practice, and so I think that they got caught off guard with Cook. I think that they just put a better scheme in place. Now, I'm hoping you're wrong. For the Raiders' sake, but it definitely is a good observation there because you know it's not something that in our division we don't face it as much because you have the Chiefs who are pass happy, you have the Broncos who can't do anything, and you have the Chargers who are pass happy as well. So yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see Sunday.
well, do you expect in Oakland to have any big trades before the deadline? And you only got 11 days left.
That's a tough one. is every team wants to see their team. Every fan base wants to see their team pick up a player, right?
Of
Um,
course.
for me, I would love to see the Raiders go out and get a true number one receiver. I can think of a guy who is on a team that's going nowhere that
Amari Cooper?
would probably love to leave. And no,
Jerk.
I don't want Amari. No, I think AJ Green would be a good trade target. Um, I also think that Devontae Parker would be a good trade target. I think that the Raiders should be looking at another wide receiver, especially with Tyrell Williams' foot issue. John Gruden is saying it's plantar fasciitis. That can linger all season if not taken care of.
I have plantar
Granted,
fasciitis, and it sucks. I got it from my military boots.
yeah, dude. I mean, it's not something as an athlete and somebody that's using your feet, even even for you in the military, like you're on your feet all day, like you need that, and so I don't know how he's going to be able to go. So I would definitely look at a receiver for a trade target. I mean, obviously we just got Zay Jones, but then you look down the line and there's no names that really stick out. So I think that if the price is right and if the Raiders can make a move, I would say get a receiver. I also saw that Vic Beasley's out there on the trade block now to see.
Don't do that.
maybe
You're going to jump in a pool of money and pay him for nothing. I'm not a big fan of him.
Yeah, I'm not either. I think that our defensive line is good right now. If we were going to trade for somebody, it would be Khalil Mack, and I'd give up 2 firsts. But that ship has already sailed, so that's not going to happen.
I mean, what about a corner? Just for just say namesake, Patrick Peterson. They say, "Oh, we're not trading him." But the thing is, if someone called up and said, "Hey, I got 2 firsts for Patrick Peterson. Do you want to go ahead and trade him?" I mean, I feel like Arizona really would be able to say no.
Can we stop with all this 2 first crap, man? Just because Khalil Mack,
I wouldn't give 2 firsts for Patrick Peterson.
Kenny.
Jalen Ramsey just got traded for 2 firsts and a 4th. Patrick Peterson's worth 2 firsts.
Just because people are stupid enough to do it.
For Jalen Ramsey.
Right, they shouldn't have done that. Thank you, Kenny. Here's the problem, Kenny. Khalil Mack, all of a sudden, everybody acts like because that's what people need to stop and really give Khalil Mack the respect. This is starting to irritate me, okay, with this whole idea that now a so-called premier player.
Irritate you.
Well, it's the damn truth, and Kenny's going to agree with me here because he just watched this guy leave his team, and he's worth a hell of a lot more because if you're going to get 2 first rounds for Jalen Ramsey, who, let's be real, on his best day on Sunday, isn't a quarter of the player that Khalil Mack had proven to already be when he got traded. So therefore, you already got robbed. You should have got 5 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks and 2 freaking starting players at that point. Khalil Mack is the only player in 100 years to be all-pro in the same year at 2 different positions on defense. Do you know how goddamn hard that is? Do you know how many Hall of Famers have played?
He's the only player to do it.
Yeah, I'm just saying, okay, so
I was just putting the ratio out there of 2 first-round picks because of what Ramsey went for. I wasn't saying he's going to go for it, but it doesn't look like Arizona's going to move him unless for that.
I am being the voice of reason here for all the GMs out there to stop this nonsense because that's what Khalil Mack went for. That is a very hefty price for a once-in-a-generational player that had already proven that he could deliver on the field on a consistent basis. Jalen Ramsey hasn't done that. And let's be real, Patrick Peterson for the last 4 or 5 years, come on.
Right. I trade 2 firsts for Aaron Donald straight up right now.
Again,
well, that's Aaron Donald. I mean, I think that's a 3 first-round. Aaron Donald's one of those names, he's a top 10 player in the league, not just position in the league.
But there's only a handful of guys.
There's
Patrick
probably
Peterson's
like
not a guy.
4. Really. Really.
Donald's one of them.
No, I'm agreeing, but there's
and
probably
Patrick
like 4.
Peterson is a guy that you could probably get for Patrick Peterson's a guy you could probably get for a second or a third.
Okay, then we'll say that. Say if Gruden or Mayock calls up and says, "Hey, I'll offer you a high second